Well, Frank's going to make a move on this one. It's gone. Home run Clemente. And the Pirates 2, the Orioles nothing.
Here's Lemieux. The center penalty coming up. Look at Lemieux. Oh my goodness. What a goal. What a move. Lemieux. Oh baby.
They clean up pretty good, don't
Welcome to another live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studios. Thanks for watching us. We appreciate that. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. Chip Hayner's here with me. Smoking Jim Frazier just walked in the door. We'll pause a minute so he can start eating. But we're all here on this rainy night in Pittsburgh. It's better than snow in February. I'll take it. And thanks for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Thanks for watching us on Verizon 32 in Bethel Park and all the way from Nemacolin to Cranberry, Wexford, and all points in between. We appreciate you watching the show. Thanks for all the likes on our page. 6,870 likes for watching and liking our show. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. I have a couple promos. First up, we'll see if somebody can help. We got a lot of help in the studio with the camera on the promos. Look at that promo. Olive Oil's Pizzeria sponsors our show with a pizza and a hoagie. They're at Hillcrest Shopping Center, 412-831-1900. We got Zach on camera right now. Look at the work he did. Thank you, Zach. Next up, I end each show with Stay Joey Strong. Look at him pulling in on that. There's Joey before DIPG, after DIPG, the brain cancer that killed him at 9 years old. And it's just a sad thing. We end each show with Stay Joey Strong in honor of him. His family's raised over $100,000. It was his birthday the other day on Saturday night. They invited me to be with 30 friends and family, and he loved Olive Garden, so guess what? We all ate at Olive Garden last Saturday night. It was great honoring Joey Fabus, and everybody said hi to Smoking Jim Frazier, and I said, don't ask me where he's at. Next up, the Bethel Park Historical Society. Whoa, that's better. Schoolhouse Arts and History Center. It's 2600 South Park Road. It's a great place. They put a new $140,000 roof. They put all new windows in there. They have events. They do all kinds of things in the community there. And they even got the bell back and the cupola on the roof. And by the way, Reginald's Coffee, my favorite loose leaf green tea place. It's wonderful there. And thanks to Matt and Julia for having me there. Next up, we have money for you. The Bethel Park Community Foundation has money for you. From $100 to $5,000 for your group or organization in Bethel Park. So get an application, come there. I'm a trustee on the board. We've given out $970,000 in the last 25 years, and we'll probably give $100,000 out this year. So we'll get closer to that 1 million mark out there maybe this year. So stay tuned. Next up, Dave Cable likes to have a little fun at my expense. He put my face on Uncle Sam. Tell them Uncle Al sent you to BPTV. You could be like Zach. You could be like Alex. You could be like Connor. You could be like Johnny Mariano, one of my biggest fans that doesn't like sports, but he likes Pittsburgh Sportsline. And you can be here like Steve Fisher is. He's now attending Point Park College to be an accountant. But he's here tonight to show them how to make the show look even better than it has been the last few months that he's been gone. We want you for BPTV. Call 412-831-3304. That's my promos, and we also have a sponsor of What's on Your Mind, Skeets Lewandowski of Skeets Service Station, 6103 Route 88, Red, White, and Blue Station. 724-348-4715. They work on anything and everything that runs on gas, and they sponsor our What's on Your Mind. And I have one question for Smokin' Jim Frazier. What's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
Here it comes.
you got to see Levine. I tell you what, I forgot Rookie of the Year Steve Fisher was an accounting major at Point Park. You think he can help me cheat the government out of my taxes?
You don't even know your government name.
Help me out.
He's
Hold
got-
it. I gotta do it.
Got a few corners.
Wait, I gotta do a disclaimer.
His accounting skills aren't even going to help you count your losses tonight.
Here, last night we did a show to show you. Hey, Zach, this is for you to show how far behind he is on his stuff. Last night we did a show in Ambridge, and a friend of mine who's a tax advisor. We were in John Panera's agency, which does taxes, last night. Why didn't he ask my friend John and our friend to do your taxes? Because he's not telling the truth, folks. Just like gambling. Do the opposite of what he says.
Up in age. Steve is young. He'll be still a young man when he get out of jail.
Let me tell you about taxes. You want somebody old and experienced because there's thousands of tax laws that you don't even know about. He would help you use it. Like all the expenses to your sweetie's house, it's a business expense. You could write that off going to see sweeties.
Well, hey, listen, last week was a 50-50 bet. I got to hear it officially. 50% of us thought maybe she'll say no. 50% was saying yes. Are you divorced, or did she say yes? I do.
She said, yes, sir.
Because you did marry well above your head, brother.
I'm telling you
and
what,
I
man.
thought you took a bold chance answering her.
Second
Say
time.
yes
And you know
again.
what? I said it, I'll see her in another 10 years, and we'll do it again.
Well, I got a wedding present for you, brother. I figured you would enjoy it from my friend Jim O'Brien. And it's a book, and I know you would enjoy it.
Hold it
because
up for the camera.
It's
Zach will zoom in on it.
I had Chip in mind when I got it because it's all white quarterback, so I know you would enjoy that, brother. It's some good reading.
And I bought his other book, the one that he had about Chuck Noll.
Well, that one's free. You ain't got to pay for that one. But I got a Father's Day gift for Al Levine, the talking machine. Jim O'Brien said, give the book to my good friend Al Levine, the talking
Wow,
machine.
I'm honored.
And this gentleman right here,
I'm
there's
honored
a
with
street
that.
named after him in Youngwood.
Oh, yeah.
That's George Blanda.
George Blanda. But that's enough of the niceties, man. I tell you what. I was riding high.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good read. Let me know how it is.
I will read it. Both of us will read it.
I got
It's
one
something
too.
unusual.
I got one too, but I don't want to take it out the wrapper just yet.
Where'd you see him? Where'd you see him at?
I went down. Well,
Tell the truth.
The truth is, at his printing company, some of the brothers worked there that loads up the trucks. I told him, get me about 10 boxes. I'll swing down the alley. So they loaded up about 10 boxes, man, of books and DVDs.
Wow.
But
Notice how he didn't give up the DVDs.
I want to make sure the DVDs work first. But I got about 100 DVDs, man.
Do you?
Yeah, but hey, listen.
Life's good.
I tell you what, I was up about $1,000 riding high this week. And what's the chances? The number 1 team in college basketball, Baylor, got beat. The number 2 team, Gonzaga, got beat. The number 3 team, San Diego State, got beat. So that wiped me out.
And what about your fighter?
Huh?
What about your fighter?
Well, I had Tyson Fury. I did put money on him. But here's my top 10. Here's my top 10 heavyweights, because everybody loves my top 10s.
Who? Name
But
one.
it may be a little.
Name one that loves it.
I'm gonna go through
Name
it
one.
quick. I'm gonna go through it quick because a lot of these names nobody know. 10C, Daniel Dubois. 10B, Dominic Brazil. 10 is Luis Ortiz, who caught that wave from Cuba to get here. Number 9, Oscar Rivas. Number 8, B, Alex Ovechkin, Russian. 8, Dillian White. 7, Joseph Parker. 6, B, Stu Vern.
Who named him?
I'm not even going to try number 6, but he's a cruiserweight champion that's moving up to heavyweight, another Russian. How about number 5B? Big Baby Miller. As soon as he get out of the, he's suspended right now for testing positive for drugs.
Okay.
How about performance-enhancing drugs? How about number 5? Deontay Wilder.
Didn't he end up on his back?
Twice.
Okay.
And he fired his trainer.
Did he fire him?
Yeah, the guy who threw in the towel.
Yeah, Mark Breland. Remember Mark Breland from the Olympics? How about number 4? A Nigerian 6'6" guy. Aged, but listen, this guy got the fastest knockout in boxing history, 1 second. The guy climbs into the ring. When the bell rang for the 6th round, he walked out of the ring. He did it because if you quit after the bell rings, you get your money. If you quit before, you don't get no money. So he got all his money. How about number 3? Tyson Fury. Number 2, Andy Ruiz. And the number 1 fighter in the world is Anthony Cassius Clay Joshua. And that's my top 10 heavyweights of the day.
Thank you, Smoking Jim. What's on your mind, Chip Hayner?
Well, being that Jim is a boxing aficionado,
Yeah.
I know my dear friend Alan is an aficionado.
Yeah.
I would probably be more inclined to believe that Alan would know the answer to this, not Jim. 56 years ago tonight, Miami Beach, Florida.
Sonny Liston got beat.
Cassius Clay beat
Sonny
Sonny
Liston.
Liston for the heavyweight title.
I did know it.
1964.
1964.
I did know it.
I told you I would be more inclined to believe that you would know it. So that is the greatest.
I was 8 years old.
And if anybody had any question whether or not Muhammad Ali was the greatest, just ask him.
That's true. That's true.
He told everybody.
He told everybody. But, you know, hey, let's pay tribute to one of the greatest boxers that ever lived. Sonny Liston was a rough and tough man, and Muhammad Ali took him to task that night. He was an underdog, gold medal winner, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Wasn't that in Rome?
Yes.
See that? My memory.
Yeah.
There's a lot you don't know. So anyhow,
Just stick with the stuff he makes up.
so
He knows that.
You know, I'm going to go to the defense of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and so far, out of spring training so far, there's really not much to report. I mean, there's a lot of evaluating that has to go on. You know, but I like the reports that I'm hearing out of spring training this year. I think the Pirates are probably going to do better than most people have implied. So far, I've heard people saying that they're going to end up 60 and 102, and you know, and I've heard other things. But here's the interesting thing: people in city, you know, people that want to bash Bob Nutting for the way that he runs his baseball organization. You know, are pointing to teams like, well, look at how much money the Cincinnati Reds spent this past year. And look at how much money that the Milwaukee Brewers spent last year. You know, they're smaller market teams, right? And the equivalent of the size of Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
So the reports come out now that the Milwaukee Brewers lost money last year. How does a Major League Baseball franchise lose money? Well, maybe it's because they foolishly spent money that they didn't really have coming in because this is the win now mentality. So what they're doing is they're mortgaging the future of their franchise. And I bet you they've got one more year of competitive baseball before the house of cards collapses, because at some point you have to bring in more money than you pay out. And if you know, in this
Just ask Smoking Jim.
This stands true for every
He'll tell you.
professional sports franchise, because what people fail to realize, professional sports franchises are businesses. And these guys that own them are billionaires, not millionaires. See, the millionaires play the games. The billionaires own the game, okay? So these guys are smart businessmen. And I can tell you this, prior to Bob Nutting buying the Pittsburgh Pirates, Kevin McClatchy had run the bus almost off the cliff, and the Pirates were at a point where they couldn't figure out how to meet payroll.
Yeah.
And they were on the verge. We were on the verge of having the most beautiful ballpark in the United States without a team. And so since he's taken over the team, he's paid off all the debt. He's rebuilt the minor league system. He gave us 3 wonderful years of playoff baseball. And, so subsequently, they're in rebuild mode right now. And I think we're going to see, in the next few years, we're going to see the Pirate team be successful again. And, they're profitable, so that means that they're going to stay here and continue to provide us with Major League Baseball.
You're not a Nutting fan.
He's
happens
not
here?
a baseball fan. So anyhow,
He don't know baseball.
my comment for everybody that's saying the Pirates should do things the way the Brewers are. Watch what happens in Cincinnati between now and next year. Watch what happens in Milwaukee, and I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the show. But I do think the Pirates are on the upswing. I think they bottomed out at the end of last year. Bob Nutting made the choices he had to make. He got rid of the president. He got rid of the general manager. He got rid of the manager. The general manager and the manager are getting paid for the next 2 years. So to anybody telling me that Bob Nutting's not willing to pay money to try to win baseball, he's paying 2 people $6 million to not manage or coach their team this year. So I think he's headed in the right direction.
Can I say one thing before we go to Elevate and talk?
Sure, go ahead.
You said Milwaukee lost money.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it'll take them 20 years to have a winning season?
I have no idea.
Okay, but
Because I don't have a crystal ball. Because if I did, I wouldn't be sitting here. I would own an island.
well, I'll just say this: if the Pirates go 60 and 102, do you know how much money I'll win this year?
No, how much?
Folks, and how many times have we documented on these airwaves that if you want to make any money, bet the opposite of what Smoking Jim does. How much money did you lose last weekend, right? He didn't end up ahead. So, with your track record, my friend, I think it's a lock.
Thank you, Chip Hayner. And for the record, Smokin' Jim had 7 bets of Bet the House, and I kept records on it. He only lost 5 of those. So he won 2 out of 7. And all of you that own one house, I'm glad you have that, because he's in the deficit. That's what his tax attorney would tell him.
Steve Fisher.
No, you're in a deficit. He would tell you 7 from 5 leaves you 2. Thank you, Smokin' Jim. What's on my mind is all this hype about the fight, and Wilder would win the fight, and Tyson Fury won it, and then he's licking blood off of Wilder's head, and it's just crazy. The heavyweight division, from what Chip talked about with Cassius Clay, then Muhammad Ali and Sonny Liston, it was a whole different era compared to what we have. You have a guy that gained about 40 pounds and won a fight. You had another guy that said what great shape he's in, and he looked wobbly from the beginning there after he got hit. So boxing has changed. I'm glad that Smokin' Jim and I do Golden Gloves fights, because we see it right from the increase with women and guys fighting at a young, early age, and they put in the effort, and that's all I want to see. That's what I'd like to see in the heavyweight division, people putting in the effort instead of all this talk.
If I may speak to
Go
you,
ahead.
I read an article yesterday that Deontay Wilder said that the headdress that he wore into the ring weighed 40 pounds.
The whole body.
And subsequently, that's why he didn't have any legs for the fight, because he was clowning before the fight. Here's my problem with professional boxing. There was a time, back when Cassius Clay and Sonny Liston fought, even back in the 80s, where the top fighters fought one another, And if you had the title, you could honestly say, I am the best in the world. What has happened to boxing? And you've taken people that like Money Mayweather, who had spent his entire career ducking anybody that had the potential to beat him, and then he wants to say that I've got the undefeated record, that I was never beaten. Well, he never fought anybody that could beat him.
Yeah.
Okay, so if boxing wants to get relevant again, what they need to do is the top fighters need to quit running and fight one another. I would think as a fighter, I want to prove I'm the best. I want to fight the best.
I want to beat the best. Yeah.
Tommy Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, all those guys fought each other more than once.
Roberto Duran.
Roberto Duran, Hands of Stone.
Yeah.
I mean, the list goes on and on. We were Alexis Arguello and Aaron Pryor.
Oh, there you
back
go.
from 1982.
Yeah.
I mean, that was those were two of the greatest lightweights of all time. But then nowadays
we see a difference.
You
definitely.
you don't see the best fighters fighting one another, and that's an insult to the sport. Just my humble opinion.
I didn't even want to watch the fight, and I didn't. So.
I wasn't paying $80 to watch that
No, and
nonsense.
Smoking Jim didn't coerce me to go in somewhere to eat with him and then pay $80. So he didn't call me up, so I didn't go. But no, those things work out. But
I just got that.
yeah, McGregor, what the heck? And I told you he'd lose. What the heck? Well, that's what's on my mind. We're going to come back with some fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Hi, Bethel Park. Remember me? My name is Jason Planitzer. I was the host of a little show here. You may have seen it. It was called The Jason Planitzer Show.
What would you say your experience at BPTV, how has that had an impact on your life?
I found my voice. I learned how to be funny. I learned how to create things. I learned how to collaborate with people here. I developed an interest in film and comedy and making videos. It stuck with me. It continued through my life. I got into working on motion pictures. I now I'll produce small videos. I'll work with producers on commercials, television projects, feature films. I scout locations on TV shows and movies, which involves me reading scripts, finding the locations that need to be shot, and collaborating with the director and production designer to find the perfect spot. It all started at BPTV for me.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. Chip got my main man, Little Z. Gateway Zone is in the house. We got Alex in the house. Who else we got? We got
Connor.
Steve Fisher. We got Connor in the house. We got
Johnny
all.
Mariana.
Johnny's
here.
Johnny's here.
You ignored him.
That's my man. But hey, real quick, I'm the only one on the planet that made a prediction that came true. All the experts in boxing. I did a Pittsburgh boxing talk show on Friday night.
I saw you guys. You look good.
Thank you.
I didn't hear it,
Mike
though.
Manna was on it.
Yeah.
And every expert in the country and around the world, excuse me, said it'll either be a Deontay Wilder knockout or it'll be a Tyson Fury decision. I'm the only one that's predicted and guaranteed that Tyson Fury, who can't knock anybody out, they say he got punching power of a pillow. I said he'd knock Deontay Wilder out before the 8th round. And I wouldn't be shocked if he knocked him out in the first 2 rounds. Of course, I was right. Now these guys are backpedaling and making excuses. And let me tell you why. First of all, there's a football coach called Vince Lombardi that used to say fatigue will make cowards out of all of us. Chip will tell you that the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines don't send you to boot camp to get in shape physically. They send you there to get you mentally ready for war. And that was the difference. Listen, when Muhammad Ali fought George Foreman, everybody wants to talk about 74. Ali may not have beaten George Foreman. George Foreman was in the best shape of his life. He's in the prime of his career. He couldn't keep sparring partners over in Africa because he kept knocking them out in the first round. 2 weeks before the fight, George Foreman gets a cut above his eye, so they have to postpone the fight for 3 or 4 months. He goes back to America. Muhammad Ali continues to train. George Foreman, mentally, he was like, hey, all I got to do is get out here and beat Muhammad Ali. He didn't like Africa anyway because they all loved Ali and hated him, even though they were both considered black. Ali beat
What do you
him.
mean considered?
Ali beat him because Foreman wasn't mentally prepared for war. How about
Plus
Sugar
the
Ray?
rope-a-dope.
How about that's right. That was it. How about Sugar Ray Leonard and Roberto Duran too? Roberto Duran beat Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard demanded a quick rematch because he knew Roberto Duran's weight blows up in between fights. In a quick rematch, Roberto Duran wouldn't be able to get his weight down. That's what happened. Sugar Ray was able to embarrass him no months later. How about Ali? Leon Spinks won. Ali couldn't get up for a guy with only 7 fights. How's a guy for 7 fights going to beat the greatest Muhammad Ali? Leon Spinks beat him. Ali came back, trained, and won easily. Last couple, Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas. First time Mike Tyson ever out of the country. He's in Japan. Buster Douglas is no threat. He's walking around talking about he's the baddest man on the planet. He got new trainers, new people around him. Nobody's pushing him in training or boot camp. Buster Douglas upsets him. Anthony Joshua was supposed to fight Big Baby Miller. Big Baby Miller gets suspended for steroids. He takes on Andy Ruiz, a little Mexican guy that couldn't beat him, out of shape, fat guy looking, end up losing, had to come back and win. Now here's why I predicted and won a lot of money, by the way.
What's a lot?
I got the predicted knockout. I got 350 to 1. Oh, so all the money I lost.
So you only bet
So
$20.
you bet 50 cents.
All the money I could muster, I had to break my piggy bank to get it in. But here's the reason why I predicted early a knockout. First of all, Deontay Wilder fought in November. It was a quick turnaround. So he went through 3 months of training camp, dedicated himself for a fight in November against Luis Ortiz, knocked him out. Tyson Fury was smart. He got him a $25 million payday here in February. So now he got a new fiance, he got an entourage, he's partying, he got a pretty weak corner. So he didn't go through a true training camp because of the quick turnaround. He's messing around. He figured he could knock him out. He knocked him down twice. He figured he was going to knock him out. He was dead even getting in the ring. He thinks it's because of the 45 pounds of equipment, but it was because he didn't have the mental preparation to go through what it was. Every time Fury hit him, even with a jab, he was off balance and ready to go down. His corner that he fired, Mark Breland, did him a favor because he'd have got hurt bad. You have to be mentally prepared to lick blood off somebody's neck in a fight, and he wasn't prepared to do it. And that's the fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. I won a lot of money.
He still didn't tell us how much.
Even on Pittsburgh Sports Line at the pizzeria,
Olive
Oil's Pizzeria, remember I said that Tyson Fury would knock him out to celebrate Black History Month, and that's what he did. You said I was quoting Muhammad Ali, but I was saying around that he knocked him out.
You got it from Muhammad Ali. He's the first to ever do that. And you still didn't tell us how much you won, so you're like the gamblers that I knew at the Meadows. They'd bet $200 a race. The last race of the night, they'd win a trifecta for $300. Multiply 12 races times 200. That's 2,400. 13th race, they won 300. Subtract that from the 2,400, they lost 2,100.
On the advice of my accountant, Steve Fisher, I'm not allowed to
He's not
disclose.
talking to you.
I'm not allowed to
He turned that down. As I state again, folks, true gamblers don't tell you what they're winning, and they only tell you when they're losing. They don't give you the money. And we're friends, so we'll keep it that way. Thank you, Smoking Jim, and we'll go on to the next thing.
All righty. Well, welcome back, everybody. Last time I was here, we were talking about the, in the honor of Black History Month, we were talking about the Negro Leagues. And we talked about the first known black professional baseball player. His name was Bud Fowler. And we also talked about Moses Fleetwood Walker and his brother, Welde Wilberforce Walker, who may have been the first two African-American players to play in the major leagues.
Wow.
This was back in the 1800s. And a couple of other names that were pioneers of the Negro Leagues.
Can I say one thing before you go on? Wilberforce, I wonder if they named a college. There's a college, a black college in Ohio called Wilberforce. I wonder if they named it after him.
I do not know that. That would be interesting to find out.
Google that, Smoking.
Go Google that. Yeah, look
I don't
it
know
up
how to spell
in
it.
your funkin'
I
language.
don't know how to spell it.
Wilberforce.
Two more of the pioneers of the Negro Leagues was a gentleman named Frank Luland, who got some of Chicago's black businessmen to sponsor the Black Amateur Union Baseball Club back in 1888. Also, Rube Foster, the Philadelphia Giants, owned by Walter Schlichter, a white businessman, rose to prominence in 1903 when they lost to the Cuban ex-Giants. But these are some of the people that were the pioneers of the Negro Leagues. And they said that the golden age of the Negro Leagues was happened in the 1920s. And instead of getting into all of the people that had something to do with that, we'll talk a little bit more about something that's a little nearer and dearer to our hearts. Satchel Paige, Josh Gibson, and Gus Greenlee. Wow. The Negro Leagues were very well established here in Western Pennsylvania. Just as the Negro League baseball seemed to be at its lowest point and was about to fade into history, along came Cumberland Posey. You remember Cumberland Posey, don't you?
No.
Okay, that's at least you're being honest.
Finally.
Cumberland Posey and his Homestead Grays. Posey, Charlie Walker, John Rosnick, George Rossiter, John Drew, Lloyd Thompson, and L.R. Williams got together in January 1932 and founded the East-West League. 8 cities were included in the new league: Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Detroit, Baltimore, Cleveland, Newark, New York, and Washington, D.C. By 1932, the Detroit Wolves were about to collapse, and instead of letting the team go, Posey kept pumping money into it. By June, the Wolves had disintegrated, and all the rest of the teams, except for the Grays, were beyond help, so Posey had to terminate the league. Across the town from Posey, Gus Greenlee, a reputed gangster and numbers runner, somebody that you probably would have hung out with, had just purchased the Pittsburgh Crawfords. And Greenlee's main interest in baseball was to use it as a way to launder money from his numbers games. But after learning about Posey's money-making machine in Homestead, he became obsessed with the sport and his Crawfords. On August 6, 1931, Satchel Paige made his first appearance as a Crawford. With Paige on his team, Greenlee took a huge risk by investing $100,000 in a new ballpark to be called Greenlee Field.
Wow.
On opening day, April 30th, 1932, the pitcher-catcher battery was made up of the two most marketable icons in all of black ball, Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson. Josh Gibson, it's said that had the statistics been kept accurately, that this gentleman would have hit over 800 home runs in his baseball career.
Were they Negroes then?
He was in the Negro Leagues.
They were
In,
black too.
in 1933, Gus Greenlee, riding the popularity of his Crawfords, became the next man to start a Negro League. In February 1933, Greenlee and delegates from 6 other teams met at Greenlee's Crawford Grill, which is in
Yeah.
the Hill District.
Yeah, they're going to be reopening it. Jessica Lee and Franco Harris.
Yes.
They're looking at reopening that, the Crawford Grill.
See that? See that, Jim? You're going to have to go make an appearance.
I'll stay away from the hill.
To
I'll go
ratify the Constitution of the National Organization of Professional Baseball Clubs. The name of the new league was the same as the old Negro National League, which had disbanded a year earlier. The members of the new league were the Pittsburgh Crawfords, the Columbus Bluebirds, the Indianapolis ABCs, the Baltimore Black Sox, the Brooklyn Royal Giants, Coles American Giants, formerly the Chicago American Giants, and Nashville Elite Giants. Greenlee also came up with the idea to duplicate the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, except, unlike the big league method in which the sports writers chose the players, the fans voted for the participants. The first game, known as the East-West All-Star Game, was held September 10th, 1933 at Comiskey Park in Chicago before a crowd of 20,000.
Wow.
So a very integral part of the Negro Leagues was founded here in Pittsburgh thanks to Cumberland Posey and Gus Greenlee.
Excellent. Thank you, Chip.
Before we go to
Whoa.
elevating the talking machine, I looked it up. William Wilberforce was a white guy that fought to help end slavery. So they named the college after him. He was a white guy. So again, like there's no white Washingtons. There's no white Washingtons. Now I don't think I've ever heard of a white Wilberforce other than William. Have you?
I just did. And your point is?
That's a new trivia.
And he lived from 1780 to 1825. So that was 50, 60, 70 years before the young man played baseball.
Yeah. So he
Might have been related.
He fought the.
He might have been related. That was before the Civil War he died. He died before the Civil War.
Did he really?
Or what's 1825? Do you know the Civil War when it was?
I heard of it.
Okay.
1861,
Yeah.
1865.
Yeah.
You remember the years?
Yes.
He's a history guy and a war guy like me.
You know, when I was a child, my father took me to all the hysterical battlefields.
Gettysburg?
Surrounding, been to Gettysburg, Antietam, been to, all the forts in the vicinity.
Well, when I was in high school, I went on about 19 recruiting visits, right?
Sure.
I had a friend that was a tractor trailer driver. So I would take all these schools I wasn't going to, Southern Illinois and stuff like that. They would send you a plane ticket, and I would cash that in and ride there with my buddies. How we made money. There was no unlimited recruiting. But one of the best recruiting visits I was on was Gettysburg, because I wanted to run track, and they would let me run track and play football. And I'm there. It was a beautiful facilities. They took all the recruits. There was like 25 recruits at Gettysburg that particular weekend. They took them all to the battle sites except for me. I'm the only one that didn't want to go. I wish now I would have went Gettysburg. Who knew?
What
Then
year?
I didn't know then.
What
If I knew what I knew now, I would have went.
What year?
Don't go to Gateway High School.
What
They
year?
teach Civil War. He missed the
I was
class.
having too much fun on the campus. I didn't want to leave.
Wait. What year was that?
Hey, I stayed in an all-white fraternity house.
Yeah.
It was so nice. They had their own maids, their own cooks. Oh, man, it was a good time. It was so much fun.
That was 1970 what?
But I wish I knew, Because I got an uncle that loves the battles.
Yeah.
And when he used to come, he from California. When he was just coming,
He asked you, how was Gettysburg?
He used to drive up there to go see it. I said, dang, I wish I would have went. I had a
78?
chance.
78 or 79?
I had a chance. I had a chance.
Which one?
But we got to go to Alameda to talk about shit. I wish your wife would have said no.
Thank you. Thank you, Chip Hayner. Sorry, folks. We were just talking about the lack of education that Smokin' Jim received. No offense meant to Gateway teachers. I'm sure they're brilliant.
I got a college degree.
He got 18 degrees. He got 18 degrees. General studies, general Sioux, basket weaving, 1, 2, 3, and 4. No, they didn't have that class. No, he didn't show up. He was at the casino. On location. Great show last night. We traveled. John Panaris Agency, 651 Merchant Street. He told me it only took him a half hour to get to Olive Oil's Pizzeria. 25 miles from my house in Bethel Park. I made it in 45 minutes on Ohio River Boulevard. He goes, what, were you driving below the speed limit? I said, no. But I did make it. We had a great show. We had the Beaver County Indians and ABA basketball team. They just started this year. They're 8-5. They're doing better than expected. Met the owner, the coach, players. They just were great. Smokin' Jim had to bring a sweetie with him who I haven't seen in a couple years. Tell them who it was.
Mariah Torres and my godson,
Little Mojo. Very cute. So I did a little interview with the 4-year-old Mojo.
Yes,
He answered a couple questions. It was nice to have Mariah there, and she was updating us on a possible film she's working on and trying to get somebody to take it over and do it. Then,
Can I make a prediction?
yeah,
2037, Mojo will get drafted in the NFL.
2037.
He's that good.
Okay. At 4 years old. Okay. Thank you, Smokin'.
So-
We appreciate your outlandish predictions.
And I can bet you any amount of money right now, he's already been recruited to Gateway.
Yes, yes.
They have him on retainer.
Only I don't think his mother's going to let him live there. So they won't bring him. But we had a great show. Then we had Chris Dempsey, who was a UFC fighter, a national wrestling champion. And he didn't tell us on the interview, and I didn't have any pictures because he lived 2 blocks away, and he came after the show started. So we took no pictures of him. He was incognito, and he won a world title out in California for jiu-jitsu. Wow. But he's so modest, he didn't tell anybody about it. Zach would probably be interested in this guy winning a jiu-jitsu world title. And he said he's going to try again this year to win it again, Zach. He's a very good guy. I'll give you a little background. He used to weigh 285 pounds and wrestled in college. He now is 185 pounds. He's like half a Smokin' Jim Frazier, and he's twice as tough. And we had a good conversation afterwards, and he's just a great all-around guy. He loves our show. He'd been on it a few times before, and he was glad to be back on again. Now we got another show coming up. Mark your calendars, March 9th. We'll be at Olive Oil's Pizzeria, 930 Brookline Boulevard, 7:30 to 8:30. We got some guests. Smokin' Jim, Black History Month is over.
No.
But I have a black gentleman coming that's the first and only black hockey player from Pittsburgh who's an NHL coach and scout. And you're going to hear about him, Howard Smith. He's just legendary. You can Google him, and I'm Facebook friends with him.
Really?
And I think he went to Taylor Alderdice or somebody and played hockey, and they wouldn't let him on the hockey team, and he ended up playing hockey. Wow. And he's coached kids. One guest we've had on our show, he was even on this show, Jake Clancher, who scouts hockey. Howard taught Jake how to play hockey and stuff, and is well known in the NHL. So we'll have him on the show. And then Smokin' Jim, we got Jose Carabella coming on the show because they're trying to do fundraising for one of your favorite high schools, Stowe Rocks. They need money for paper and books and things and pencils.
How about just closing the school and move them and them on tour?
Well, how about you donate all your winnings that you can't tell us how much you won to buy
maybe
something?
that's where your problem is, because he doesn't have enough winnings to donate.
Thank you, Chip. I didn't get that clarified because he said he was a big winner, and he didn't tell me what he won.
Wait a minute. I did. I don't like Howard Smith anymore because I'm Googling him. Howard Smith directs his young players during hockey practice at Bethel Park's Blade Runner.
Yeah, that's right near my house. You've driven me by it. What's wrong with that?
You know, we don't like, Gateway. That's somewhat of a rivalry now. He's out there. He's out
don't
there
live in
working
Bethel
with
Park.
Bethel. He's working with players from Bethel.
He helps players all over the country. He helps black kids play hockey.
I don't see
And
that.
girls and stuff like that. He had a black girls team come to Pittsburgh last month or
Where's
so.
he gonna find a black player in Bethel?
They find him. They'll find him, buddy. Unbelievable, Smoking Jim. Zach, don't go to Gateway. Look at how he's talking. It's crazy. But that'll be our show, and I got another guest coming, but that'll be on March 9th. March 14th, Jose will be talking to us as we try to do streaming the Pittsburgh sports line of the Golden Gloves boxing fights at the Millvale Community Center. We're going to try to stream it. I found out with my phone, I don't have any port to plug in headphones. It's Bluetooth.
I didn't think you did.
It's Bluetooth. So I need a phone that has access that they can plug in a cable from the camera and we can stream audio and video. So Jose said he has a phone and he'll make sure we have it. So we'll do it. The Pittsburgh Sports Line will be our first time streaming fights, and that may be coming attractions. So we'll be doing that. Then on March 16th, for the first ever Pittsburgh Sports Line fundraiser, you're all invited to Al's Cafe, March 16th from 7 to 10 p.m. $10 donation to the local kidney foundation. That's Kidney Foundation for the Alleghenies. And a lady from there, Jenny, will be coming there talking about the Kidney Foundation. We got some guests. Judge Arnone is our special host, and he'll be there bringing people and talking about the good things he does in the community. And we got a few guests, and I'm trying to get a guy that needs a kidney and a liver transplant on our show. I talked to him a couple weeks ago, so we'll see if he can confirm. And he needs a kidney, so we can try to help him. It'll be our first official fundraiser for Pittsburgh Sports Line. You're all welcome to come out. Great food at Al's Cafe. It's legendary. Smoking Jim's never been there. It'll be his first time experience, so we'll have some fun for that. And that's what I have for you on location.
When's the fights again?
The 14th.
14.
Yeah, try to make that. And then a little side note, not on location, but we were asked by the Chief of Police, Scott Schubert, for February 29th, the Polar Plunge, and the temperature will be dropping, the high of 27. I don't know if I can make it, but a good friend of ours, Sarah Mosen, invited Smokin' Jim and I to come there and have breakfast with her. Smokin' Jim made up a TV show where he can't make it there because the time he's going to do the show is 11 o'clock. We don't know when, where, or how it'll be on TV, but somehow he's not going to be there for the Polar Plunge. And this is a guy that tells me, I'm wearing the short sleeves. It felt like spring. He doesn't feel or care about the temperatures. He's dressed for winter. So I don't know what's up with
I'm
that.
with Sarah Weck.
Cyril Weck. He just made that up. Why would Cyril Weck meet with Smokin' Jim Frazier? That's what I want to know. And where's this going to be?
At the Walnut Grill in Fox Chapel.
What have they got going on there?
Can't wait. That's my hero.
Tell Cyril that Al Levine asked about
I sure
you.
am. I sure will.
Because I got a little Cyril Weck story. He came to Bethel Park Community Center a few years ago. And he had all his books, and he had about 400 people there talking about the Kennedy assassination and all kind of other conspiracy theories. People loved him. I'm there with our friend, visual artist Vince Ornato. We're sitting side by side. He had heard Cyril talk a couple times. I've heard him talk before, and my dad was personal friends with him, so I'm friends with Cyril Weck. So after the thing, people were leaving, shaking hands, and I go, "Hey, Cyril, I'm Al Levine." He goes, "I remember you." And I had told him, you know, my dad had passed away, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm sorry about that." And I said, "Hey, Cyril, do you need somebody to help you with?" He had 4 boxes of books. So I said, "I'll help you get it to your car because I don't see anybody else helping you." So I helped Cyril load up his car, and he goes to me, "I'll ride you to your car." I go, "Cyril, it's cold. It was January." I go, I'm a block down. I can walk." He goes, "No, I'll take you." Wow. I said, "No," again. He goes, "Just get in." So I get in the car, and he takes me down to my car. I thank him, wish him well, said it was great, you know, great speaking and nice to see you. He goes, "Hey, thanks again for helping me. I appreciate it." Next day, I get a call from Cyril Wecht.
No.
Yeah, how about this? He goes, he leaves a message in his voice. I can't imitate it, but you know, his
Try
low-key
to.
voice. I can't. He goes, "Alan, this is Cyril Wecht. I found a nice pair of black gloves that aren't mine, and it's really a
OJ's?
nice pair of gloves, and they're black." And he goes, "This is my wife's vehicle, and it wasn't her gloves, so I'm assuming that it's yours. I'll have them in one of my bags at the office. Just call this number and talk to the ladies and say I need the black bag that has the black gloves." So lo and behold, I call that morning and go, you know, "I'm Al Levine." The lady goes, "I know who you are. We have your gloves right here."
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So I go, "Where's your office?" They tell me. I go down there, and Cyril wasn't there that day, but the nice lady goes, "Here it is," and it's like in a specimen bag that they did for being a coroner. Wow. So I go, "Can I take them out?" So I took them out, and I go, "You can have the bag back." Wow. But that's my Cyril Wecht story.
Oh, man, that was awesome.
True story. And we'll be back for the last 7 minutes to talk some Penguin talk. From a very young age, I was exposed to sports in a great way. My uncle was on the first pro basketball team in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Ironmen. And my dad, of course, that was my hero. He was a basketball referee for over 30 years. Just been a passion in my life. And as I got older, I found out about horses, and I ended up owning a stable. And I was asked to be on a sports show with Roger Houston called the Meadows Racing Network. And when we were done, I said, "Boy, that'd be something great. Maybe someday I could have a TV show." Back in 2011, I had a conversation with some friends about sports that piqued my interest in how could we start a sports talk show on TV. Well, I found out I could go to public access TV in Bethel Park, and I'd be able to produce my own sports talk TV show. The great thing about doing 2 sports talk shows on BPTV is I can share my passion about sports with thousands of people every week. If you are passionate about something that you would like to share with the community, I encourage you to come to BPTV and produce a show like I do. I'm Al Levine, volunteer producer of Pittsburgh Sportsline on BPTV.
BPTV. Come volunteer. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't be here. BPTV. Come on in, make a show. It's still fun after all these years.
We're up.
Welcome back, Penguin Talk. Unbelievable. Jim Rutherford comes through again with trades. Got a legendary player, Marlowe. Made a couple other players and got Connor Sherry back. He was a good player here, and we got rid of him. He hadn't done much the last couple years. Wasn't maybe a good fit with the team. but we got him back, and
you
maybe
know-
he'll be on Sid's line.
Well, and he was practicing on Sid's line with Zucker this
Oh, was he?
morning at Trav.
I heard
they
that.
were practicing in Los Angeles. Penguins are in the midst of a West Coast trip right now, the last one of the season. And you know the moves that Rutherford made, they made sense. Okay, that being said, at this point, the Penguins, I think, on any given night can beat any one of the top teams in the Eastern
Right.
Conference. I don't know if this Penguin team, the way it's constructed right now, is going to be capable to go into Boston, to go into Washington, to go into Tampa, and beat one of these top
it's
Eastern
tough.
Conference teams. It'll be interesting to see. I'm glad he made the moves now because the playoffs start in
What do we have, about 20
6
games?
weeks.
About
It's in
20
about
games?
6 weeks. The playoffs usually start in the second week of April.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got about 6 weeks. So the team has got a chance to play together and find out which line combinations are going to work. Because the way the Penguins have it now is they brought enough depth that now that their forwards don't have to play as many minutes.
Right.
Rutherford stated that one of his biggest concerns was that they were playing
him.
too many minutes and
Yeah.
that they were going to burn the team out and not have a fresh
Right.
group of forwards going into the playoffs. So, this could be helpful. It's just,
Well, you worry about how they'll mesh, too.
the way they'll mesh. But the thing I said this before, that you need two goaltenders to basically to win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Okay. But here's my problem. Neither one is the dominant goaltender right now.
No,
I mean,
right.
it's like they're equal. So, what do? Do you continue to rotate them?
Yeah.
In and out, and but if that is what has been producing wins for you, then how do
gotta
you go
stay with
against
it,
that
yeah.
formula, which goes against all
Logic. on that,
logic
yeah.
as far as the NHL is concerned?
Right.
Which,
Right.
I mean, that's the NHL. There's nothing logical about the NHL
No.
or hockey players for that
Well,
matter.
just because it's so traditional, that's their logic.
But the Eastern Conference. I mean, wow, is it stacked?
Yes.
I mean, you got Tampa Bay, you got Boston, you've got Washington, and then you cannot forget about the New York Islanders,
Yeah.
and they strengthened themselves at the trade
Yeah,
deadline.
they all did.
So everybody has made moves. If the Penguins can get their players back healthy, and they can start, working
that
out
may
the
be
line
one of the key
combinations.
things with
Well,
the health.
the Penguins now have the depth where they can put 4 lines at you.
Yeah.
But my problem with the team, the way it's constructed now, they're getting in against one of these big banging teams like the Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're going to be able to stand up
Right.
in a 7-game series.
Well, we did get even faster with some of these players.
True.
So I think that helps take some of that edge, that heightened strength edge off of them at certain points.
But, what I'm looking to see out of this team is I want to see one of these goaltenders
get on fire.
say would
I'm the guy.
through his play saying, "Hit your wagon to me. I'm taking you to the promised land."
Right.
There's still it's game in and game out, and which one of them is going to be the guy.
No, we'll see.
it'll
Jari was hot for most of the year, and he's cooled off.
He's cooled
Murray,
off.
Murray had a
Murray's been-
streak where he's been very good, and
he's
now
been,
he cooled off.
he's been consistent. But what's most important with the goaltenders is how the defense plays in front of them.
Sure.
And you've seen a lot of the good Chris Letang lately,
he's been
but
better.
Sometimes you get the bad Chris Letang. So
We're
you
down
can't.
to the last 30 seconds.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, go ahead, quickly.
Did Ovechkin get 700 goals?
Yes, he did.
Yes! My favorite player.
Ovechkin did get his 700th,
Yeah,
and Big Ben's throwing the football again.
I know, but it's still a couple weeks away from he'll be allowed to be ready. Some 2 to 3 weeks.
Yep.
Well, we got to end this show. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you, and please stay Joey strong.